We all love booktube, but what about the larger YouTube world? Sounds like a tag idea. Alright, so obviously I'm a booktuber. I really enjoy being on booktube. I love talking about books on booktube, and I love that the medium of YouTube allows me to post videos and get feedback on them, and to watch other people's videos and get feedback on them, and then be able to get to know them and have friends and have this fun community online. And so much of that is because of YouTube, and I bet you a lot of people on booktube, my friends, also use YouTube for other things, because we're all humans, we're all complex, we have lots of different likes and dislikes and hobbies. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of start this, maybe not tag, but just kind of like ask some people what their other favorite sort of corners of YouTube are. And do that in the form of the question of, what are 5 YouTube channels you follow that aren't booktube related, and why? That would be very fun. So I'll tag some people at the end of the video. First, I'll give you my answers, because it's only fair that you do your tag first before you force other people to answer, right? Right? So 5 YouTube channels that I follow that are not booktube related. Number 1 is a movie reviewer that I have followed for a long time. His name is Dan Murrell. Now, I first learned about Dan was when he was working as a writer at Screen Junkies, which is the company that does Honest Trailers, which I think a lot of people know, or at least have watched one, or like they were at a dorm room at some point in the last 2 decades and played an Honest Trailer. I really not just liked his sense of humor, which I think is very funny, but as that Screen Junkies started posting more videos like actually sincerely about movies and movie criticisms and reviews of movies, I found that I always thought his opinions were interesting, even when I disagreed with them terrifically. And years ago, he spun off on his own YouTube channel from Screen Junkies and Honest Trailers. It's just called Dan Murrell. It's not a massive channel by any stretch of things, which is kind of fun when you have a more intimate group of people who are watching. He continually gives great reviews, and when he recommends a movie, I almost always put it on my watch list and get excited about potentially watching it. His best of lists are always fantastic. I think he does a great job of bridging the gap between like watching some of the most popular movies in the world. I'm sure he has like a Jurassic World review up right now as I'm recording this that I haven't seen yet, but also some very obscure stuff, foreign language. I just saw like one of his best movies of the year is a movie I never heard of about a K-pop group that fights evil through the world through their K-pop that he apparently thought was great. So like I learned so much from him. I think it's a great, rich channel. There are a couple things that when I see a movie in the theaters, I almost always go a couple places. One of them is to watch Dan Murrell's review because it just gets me thinking. Another place I go, and this is the second YouTube channel I'm going to mention, is Chris Stuckman, who is a quite big movie reviewer on the internet. He has something like 2 million subscribers, and he is now a actual director himself and is having a movie released by Neon later this year, which I'm very excited about. He is also someone who I almost always watch their video on a film that I find interesting and want discussion on, because his reviews are very thoughtful and they're normally pretty brief, somewhere in the range of 10 minutes, and I quite appreciate that about his channel. I also probably align with him as far as our personal experiences, because he has a long video about coming from a Jehovah's Witness background. I come from an evangelical Christian background. I posted a video about that, and I think that probably is one of the smaller reasons that I sort of gravitate to what he talks about in his movies, or in his movie reviews. So those are 2 movie reviews I watch, but there's other corners of the YouTube world that I go to quite often. One is the travel section of YouTube, which I don't think has it's not like TravelTube. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't call it anything, but I love to watch travel videos. Travel is a huge passion of mine that I just love. And so I love to watch other people, particularly travelers that do so in like realistic ways or ways that I would visit countries. So I tend to shy away from people who like just go to like huge experiences. Like, I am going to bungee jump off of Mount Everest. I know that's not something that people do, but you know, there's travel channels out there that just do the most extreme, crazy things out there. And sometimes those are fun to watch, but I actually really like getting to know people and seeing them, you know, go through customs or be at an airport lounge or what they do when they lose their luggage, or like the difficulty of trying to figure out where to walk in a new city where you don't speak the language, and like showing all of those, and like eating a hot bun from a gasoline station in Tokyo, not just, the Great Wall pictures, or the nitty gritty of travel is what I'm trying to say. I love when booktubers show that, and especially not booktubers, travel tubers. Is that what they're called? Man, I'm really struggling with describing this area. But I love travel bloggers, I guess, who do that, and it inspires me and actually gets me to go out and travel in the world, which is something that I treasure quite deeply. So there are two couples that I follow on BookTube and basically watch all their videos as soon as they come out. Did I say BookTube again? TravelTube, on YouTube, whatever. One is Kara and Nate. They have now ascended to be a pretty big name on YouTube. I've been watching them since they had, I think, like 500,000 subscribers. So they were still pretty big when we started watching them. But we, especially my wife and I, started watching them in the pandemic when we couldn't travel. And I discovered that there was this thing. And actually, my parents, oddly enough, are the ones who were like, you should check these people out. They were visiting us and we watched one of their videos and I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. It reminds me of travel. I can't travel right now. I want that hit. And so I started watching it. And they have a playlist that you can watch from the beginning. All of their movies and short blogs from 2016, I think, until the modern day. We have watched all of them, and they are fantastic. They start out a bunch like 7-8 minutes and like very, very sort of spit and string kind of thing, eventually to becoming now millions and millions of watchers, where they do now do some of those bigger experiences along with other travel as well. I just think they're two really great humans to watch and enjoy their travels, and it feels like you're going everywhere. They have now traveled to over 100 countries. I think it is some of the best stuff you can watch on YouTube as far as experiencing actual travel, especially kind of their first 5 years. Strongly recommend Kara and Nate. In that same vein, there is a channel called Lisa and Josh. Or Josh and Lisa? I think it's Lisa and Josh. And they are not huge. I think right now they have, 200,000? I don't really know what their followership count is, but I don't think it's above 1 million. And they are still currently, as I'm recording this in 2025, gritty travelers. That is a broad term for, a lot of different people travel in a lot of different ways. But their big thing they're trying to show on the travel channel is how to travel on a budget. They do things like, we spend $150 a day for 3 weeks in Australia, and showing what they did, how they do it. In all of their videos, they have like a little ticker at the bottom that shows when they spend money, so you can keep track of how much they have. On their website, there's like spreadsheets to show you where they spent it and why. Not so that you have to like do everything they do and like take notes of like, oh, when they're in Tokyo, go to this place and this, whatever. But so that you can see that travel is something you can do that is accessible to those who have even modest means, and this is how you can do it. And they're really, really fun. Bright, optimistic, even in like some very tough circumstances they find themselves in on their travels. And it is such, I just love watching their videos. It really, again, motivates me, inspires me, and I just have a great time watching their videos. So especially because they're a smaller channel, check out Lisa and Josh and give them a follow or a subscribe. Fifth one is I love board games. I probably should, maybe I'll do a video about like board games for books. That could be kind of fun. Let me think about that. Love board games. Kind of the OG in YouTube of reviewing games is the Dice Tower. A silly channel in many ways. They have a lot of fun over there, and I don't watch quite as religiously as maybe some of these other ones. But if there's a game that I really want and I want to see a review on it, I usually will try to see if Dice Tower has done a review. Every once in a while, they do top 10. Not every once in a while, quite a lot. They do top 10s of like top 10 role-playing games, top 10 dice games, top 10 worker placement games, and I just, when I'm doing chores in the house, putting that up on the screen and just kind of hearing what they're doing while I'm, picking up or doing whatever is great. Love it. Has introduced me to board games that I never would have heard of that I absolutely love. The first one that comes to mind is Takenoko, which is not a huge game that I don't think people would find, but we really enjoy in our house. Yeah, so Dice Tower, especially if you like board games, and especially if you're just getting into board games, like you played maybe one of the starter, the Settlers of Catan or the Ticket to Rides, and you're like, hey, I really like this. This is really great. I love this experience. And you're like, why aren't there other games like this? There are a ton of games like that. And Dice Tower is a good place for you to go to find out other games that are like those games and help you have a love for board games more generally. So there we go. 5 non-booktube channels that I love on YouTube and why. Now I'm going to tag a couple people that I'd be very interested to see what else they watch on YouTube and sharing with us. First one, Joanna Reads. I always love hearing Joanna's reviews on books, and she always, when she describes things that she loves, makes me want to experience them, and so I would love to hear that in the YouTube context. David from Four Corners of the Page. David seems to have a very eclectic amount of skills and knowledge and experience, and so I would just be very interested to see what else he consumes on YouTube. And if she's amenable, let's do Angela from Literature Science Alliance. Because she has that very interesting science background, I'm curious if there's like other corners of like Science Tube or something that she knows about, or Angela just seems to have a lot of different, again, sort of like likes and desires and hobbies. So there's probably some very interesting stuff she could point us to. So if you all are willing, 5 YouTube channels that you follow that are not booktube related, and then tag people in your own video and tag my video so I can check it out. Thanks so much. First in, last out.